Good morning, everyone. I'm Caitlyn Dudas, Executive Director and co-founder of the Pet Sustainability Coalition, and I am so excited to welcome you to Impact Unleashed. Now, this is our 4th annual event, but really it's our first virtual event. And while it's heartbreaking to not be in a room with you today, there are some aspects of being in a virtual meeting that have its advantages, and I'm feeling grateful for that today. First, we sold this event out last year at 125 attendees, and today we will reach an audience 3 times that size. Not only does inspiring more people mean a greater opportunity to drive impact with our content, but it also means that by offering this in a virtual setting, we'll have and welcome a greater diversity of companies and leaders into our community today. But that doesn't mean that the virtual setting isn't without its challenges. We know that it is really hard to focus on a screen all day long, and that it's hard to be able to interact with speakers when you're not in the room with them. And we also know that one of the greatest parts of Impact Unleashed are the people that fill the room. On top of all those challenges, in some ways, we've intentionally kept Impact Unleashed small in the past. We go to small venues here in Boulder, Colorado. We use locally sourced fresh food. We dance on stage. We sit around campfires. And in some ways, we've kept that small in order to provide these really intimate and personal experiences at Impact Unleashed. So why? Why, with all of these challenges, must the show go on? When the spring of COVID hit, we talked to each other and we said, events are getting shut down everywhere. Maybe this isn't a year for an event. And then in the summer, we came back together again and we said, wow, these warmer temperatures aren't going to take COVID away. Should we just take the year off? And to answer this question, we had to go back to the heart and soul of Impact Unleashed. Impact Unleashed is about 3 major things. 1, inspiration. 2, community. And 3, action. So when I went back to these 3 things, I asked myself, Caitlyn, do your members need that this year? How much does the pet industry need that this year? How important is inspiration, community, and action in 2020? And in our heart of hearts, the answer was more than ever. So why do we need inspiration? Inspiration awakens us to new possibilities. It's a breath of fresh air. It helps transform our mindset to one of possibility. And in years past, the #1 piece of feedback that we've gotten from Impact Unleashed is that this idea inspires attendees to think outside the box, to think differently about the possibilities and opportunities for their business, but also to see themselves in the driver's seat. How about community? Why do we need community? Now, when we have a sense of belonging, we do our best work. We spend less time trying to fit in, less time trying to figure out if our skills are good enough, less time covering up our little weaknesses, and more time applying our energy and our skills and talents to meaningful problems. The power of community is actually bigger than the power of inspiration, and its effects are much more long-lasting. So action. Why do we need action? Our supply chains are breaking. COVID has certainly taught us a bit about our supply chain vulnerabilities. We've also exited the Paris Climate Agreement, which means one of the biggest polluting countries in our world isn't on board with the climate mitigation strategy. And racial unrest in our country has continued to build. In some ways, it feels like our society is ripping at the seams. These are big problems. Now, I had the pleasure of meeting with 4 incredible board members last week about resilience and values and authenticity. And what really resonated with me is that the sustainable business movement is one that sees these big problems, right? Problems that are risking the health of our land, risking the health of our communities. And it says, hey, I have an engine. I have an engine that I can put to work to help start solving these problems today. And that engine is called a business. Businesses have so much leverage in our economy and in our communities and across the land that they are one of the best engines that we can start taking action with today in service of a shared future. We aren't magically going to arrive at this beautiful future. If the current state isn't so great, we do actually have to make different choices. And that's where you all come in. Each and every one of you is an agent of change. Now, I bet that you all make great choices inside your home. I bet you recycle. I bet you're a great corporate citizen in your local community. And these things are all incredibly essential. But when you start making choices inside of your business, you take your influence and you scale it. You were looking at yourself, you were looking at your family, you were looking at one household. But when you start to make different choices inside your business, when you start thinking about what are the ingredients we're using, what are the materials we're using, who are the people that we employ, how do we impact our employees, our local community, but also global communities across our global supply chains, that is when our impact can scale. That's when our impact can scale to the size of the problems that we're facing. Now, this belief that businesses can be an engine that drives positive impact on the environments and where we do business was the foundation that inspired Chris Bentley and myself to co-found the Pet Sustainability Coalition back in 2013. Through the financial support of 8 amazing founding member companies who wrote a check for $10,000 after hearing me, a 28-year-old Harvard grad and a 25-year seasoned business leader, pitch a really convincing concept in a meeting room in Global Pet Expo. This willingness to invest in that idea 7 years ago has grown into this vibrant community of more than 160 different pet companies. That includes retailers, brands, manufacturers, distributors, suppliers, all working together to improve and to celebrate our environmental and social impact. Now, we have grown exponentially over the last 2 years, not just under my leadership, but also with 5 full-time committed staff, under the leadership of 9 incredible advisory board members who commit hundreds of hours of service to this organization and to our mission all throughout the year. You'll get to see many of our staff and our board members throughout the next 2 days, and I'm so excited to share these incredible people with you. Impact Unleashed is here to educate and inspire you to think bigger. Think bigger about how you see yourself as an agent of change and to give you the tools you need to take the inspiration you get over the next 2 days and to turn that into action that moves us toward a world where we all want to be. But not just a world that's good for people. This is a world that is amazing for your business. By choosing to integrate sustainable business practices, you get to reap the benefits as a business. You will see increased attraction and retention of top talent, decreased supply chain risk. You will increase loyalty with your consumers. You'll decrease costs through efficiency improvements. So this world that we're all investing in, it feels like a place we all want to be, but it's also inviting and beneficial to the vibrancy of our businesses. Impact Unleashed is here to connect you with other purpose-driven leaders so that you have some companionship on this journey. Now, our support for you, for many of you, will start today, here at Impact Unleashed at your first event. But our support certainly doesn't end today. You can join the 160 other companies and hundreds of leaders inside those companies as a member of the Sustainability Coalition, whether you're just starting off and understanding sustainability, or if you have a full strategy in place that you've been working on for years. Membership is a way for you to belong to this community year-round, for you to get access to our online toolkit full of tools that are tailored specifically to our industry, to get access to our education every month of the year, to get access to a project team that helps you implement, to baseline and improve your impact, and gets you access to our retailer-facing accreditation program that celebrates our industry's highest achievers. Now, as I reflect on the need for Impact Unleashed this year, my fire is as strong as ever. Of the 3 parts of this event, inspiration, community, and action, historically, in my heart of hearts, I have been the biggest advocate for the action portion. But this year, I have been reminded of the importance of inspiration and community. I am one of the most optimistic and positive people I know. I can find the silver lining in a whole lot of cloudy days. But honestly, 2020 hasn't been that easy for me either. And if I find myself in need of inspiration and community right now, so too must you. So from the middle of my living room to all of you, in whatever safe place you have found today, I welcome you to Impact Unleashed. Now to get down to business. Over the next 2 days, we're going to try to minimize your virtual fatigue in a number of ways. First of all, we're going to make sure that no presenter ever presents for more than 30 minutes at a time. We're also going to be interacting with you all the time. I'll be taking questions and interacting with our speakers. And we will be sure to switch up between presentations and forums and panels and networking and the exhibit hall all throughout the day to make sure we keep things energized. Today, we're going to hear from Deanna Bratter at Danone, the largest certified benefit corporation in the world and home to brands like Silk and Horizon Organics. We'll also hear from our own industry champions, starting with Ann Carlson from Jiminy's, as well as 2 of our top performing accredited suppliers, including M-Fiber and Morris Packaging. Our workshop today is from Two's Complement, about how to tell your story with data, and also hear from the Retail Industry Leaders Association about how retailers across sectors are adopting sustainable business practices and some of their largest trends and opportunities. Today, our networking forum will allow for people in the same region to connect with one another. And you'll hear from 2 innovative sustainable packaging initiatives, both from Repurpose Global and from Earth Animal. You'll also get a chance to explore the exhibit hall, where you'll have access to dozens of different companies, including sustainability specialists like the Marine Stewardship Council and the Global Animal Partnership. And you'll also get access to all of our accredited brands, including hard goods, supplies, consumables, as well as sustainable and accredited packaging suppliers and ingredient suppliers. Then finally, join us tonight for Campfire, a well-earned evening of celebration where we will auction off items to make 2021 brighter while connecting with the purpose and generosity as we head into the holiday season. Now, to introduce you to your hosts today. Just a couple of days ago, I tested positive for COVID-19. That means I couldn't be in the studio today in order to protect and not risk infecting others. And therefore, we've made yet another quick pivot to make sure that you have the best possible experience over the next 2 days. With this change in my role today, I'm going to be at home resting, and I'm proud to introduce you to Melissa Bauer, PSC's Sustainability Director Extraordinaire. Now, many of you know Melissa because she leads the majority of our member projects, as well as our leading work in packaging, and she was the bright mind behind our 2020 challenge to inspire 1,000 actions toward a diverse, equitable, and inclusive pet industry. Melissa is an alumni of the Duke Nichols School for the Environment and a native of St. Louis, Missouri. She's joining us live today from a studio in Boulder. Over to you, Melissa.